wasn't any major setup work that I had to do to get it playable out of the box. I ended up doing a ton of upgrades to this, so the bridge has been upgraded. I've replaced.
All right, we're back here, and we're getting back up and running. I'm double checking the stream that already happened to make sure my audio and levels are all good. They look all right, which is awesome. So yeah, we are working through an unboxing of a guitar here. This is a Gear It. This is their Valley series. It's their single cut. If you've watched any of the videos on the channel, you'll know that I've previously gotten one of their Canyon series guitars, which is their Strat style guitar. This is their single cut guitar, of course. We just got it out of the box. There's a couple things that stand out to me as impressive right away. Like I said, the finish is pretty cool. I'll make some more detailed videos about it and get some close-up shots with a better camera. It's cool. It's a matte finish. Knobs feel pretty good. Wow, there's even a split coil, so the volume knob does pull up and down. So there's definitely a push-pull split coil here. Get the foam out of the way. Selector switch feels good. Some other things that are, you know, decent for the price. The bridge. The bridge saddles here are wider. They're what you'd see standard on, you know, like an Epiphone or something. I know some like Donner single cuts and some other cheaper single cut guitars I've gotten in the past have really thin bridge saddles, so that's nice to see. The fretboard's pretty dry. It'll definitely need oil, but this does have the rounded over fret ends, which again is super great for a guitar in this price point. These cheap guitars, you have to understand, they're making these at you know, a really large volume pretty quickly. And so the wood likely is not really dried out in any sort of substantial or quick way. So they're very prone to fret sprout, not just these guitars, but any guitars in these price points. So the fact that they round over the fret ends just is an extra sort of precaution. You're not going to get fret sprout on a guitar like this with how rounded over the frets are, or it'd be really surprising if you did. And that's pretty cool to see, because that's not a super easy issue to fix. Certainly not something a beginner would want to you know, tackle themselves. So that's definitely a really impressive point. The headstock looks pretty good too. Again, it's a matte finish paint, but it's very clean. It does have a plastic nut, it looks like. You know, it's to be expected for this price point. Again, this is like $100 guitar. I find, at least on any cheap guitar where I've used a plastic nut, I always replace them, because I've found that the high strings, like the high B and E strings specifically, the string tension almost digs into the plastic of the nut, and you get this, of course the guitar's not in tune at all, but you get this really weird ringing sensation that just isn't very pleasant. So yeah, that'll probably be something I upgrade. Like I said, I'm debating what I'm going to do with this guitar. I'm probably going to upgrade it and put all sorts of parts in it, and then just have it around for fun like I do most of my other guitars. I have some brass nuts and some other things I'll probably replace on this. But yeah, let me go back here and grab some things we'll use to play this in a minute. Got a strap, got some picks, got a tuner. These are, this is just a little shout out, not sponsored at all. These are auto-locking straps from D'Addario. I don't know, they're relatively affordable. If you're looking for a reliable strap solution, I would recommend these. They're pretty cool. And the way they work is they just go on and then lock on there, and then you've got strap locks without having to replace the pegs or anything. And for the most part, they work with just about any guitar I've tried, so those are pretty sweet. Cool, so let's get this on a strap, if anything, just to make it a little bit more comfortable to hold. Tuners are fine. You know, they're definitely cheaper, but I'm sure they will work all right. The output jack looks good. Like I mentioned before on the Canyon series, which is their Strat style guitar, there's little touches on these guitars that show that there's at least some care that goes into the design of these. People who know about guitars are interacting with these at some step. The output jack is flush, which is, it just shows that they're designing these to some sort of spec. On cheaper guitars you might see the thread sticking way out. That's not really going to affect anything playability wise or sound wise, but it's correct the way they do it. So there's little touches on these that I think help them sort of stand out from other cheap guitars. So let's go ahead and peel the plastic off the pickups here so we can play around with it a little bit. So yeah, this is not an offensive looking guitar by any means. It's a good little single cut style guitar. I personally like the blue color quite a bit. Take a little sip of my tea here. The throat's getting a little dry. Anyone else drinking anything fun? Any bourbon lovers in the chat or anything? Alright, let's see how these tuners work. Yeah, I have it muted. You're probably not going to hear too much. Wow, tuners actually work pretty well. Let me get more centered on the camera here. And the guitar's pretty resonant for what it is. It's a bolt-on neck, but it's it's resonating. You can feel the strings in the body, which is I think it's going to play pretty fun. High E string. Ooh. Always makes you nervous, man. There you go. Especially on cheaper guitars like this, because they're putting super cheap strings on it. Makes me nervous cranking them up. Yeah, so there is the I don't know if you can hear that on the mic, but the low strings, like the E string, you can hear rings pretty true. But then on the E and the B strings, the high ones, I don't know, there's like almost this buzz because the string is actually cutting into the plastic of the nut. Like the string is thin enough and the plastic soft enough. There's a little bit of string buzz. So there'll need to be some, some action adjustments, some truss rod adjustments, but it's definitely playable out of the box. All right, let me unmute this here. Plug into my little amp sim. Turn that on. All right. Cool. So I should be getting that over the stream. Lovely sounds there. Let me see here. Huh. Whoops. That should be, there's why you're not hearing it. Trying to get you some better tones over the stream. Play around a little bit here. You could hear it better than just through the microphone at least. Learning how to work OBS, I guess. All right, there you go. I think you'll hear something now. Cool. So let me finish getting this up in tune. The mic here so you hear something a little bit cleaner, and I'm just going to noodle around a bit. Alrighty, fun stuff. Honestly, it's not too bad of a guitar. Granted, if it was in the hands of a better player, it'd probably sound a little bit better to the ears. But all things considered, it plays pretty well. It has all the issues you'd expect out of a guitar this price point. Intonation's a little bit off. It'll need to be adjusted. There's some buzzy frets, so the action will need to be adjusted. It's going to need a truss rod adjustment. You know, it's going to play better for sure. But I don't think it's going to take that much work to get this playing pretty good. And, the pickups actually sound pretty good, just for a 10-15 minute first impression there, which was something I actually noted in that other Gearit guitar over here. I'm going to grab real quick. So this the Gearit Canyon, their Strat series guitar, if you want to see sort of unboxing and impressions, check out my channel. I've done some of that. I've done a bunch of upgrades on this guitar, the bridge, the pickups, or the bridge and the tuners. The pickups I did not upgrade. And I actually have Mexican-made Fender pickups sitting around that I was going to put in this guitar. And I A-B'd them, and I actually preferred the cheaper pickups that came in this guitar over the Mexican-made Fender. I am not impressed with a lot of the Mexican-made Fender stuff, to be honest, but I found that interesting, and I'd say this guitar follows suit. I don't think the pickups sound too bad at all. So yeah, that is certainly a pleasant surprise. I didn't play with the coil split here. Let me try that real quick. Yeah, not a bad coil split sound. Not a bad single coil sound for humbucker pickups. At a coil split, especially for a cheap guitar. There's a lot of features in this for the price point. Initial impressions aren't bad. Could be an interesting beginner guitar. Cool. So first sort of ideas of what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to do some deeper dives on this. I'm going to crack it open a little bit more and see some of the electronics in there. The electronics should be relatively simple in this, which is the good thing. So I'll be able to it'll just be visually inspecting and making sure there's no cold joints or anything I have to address solder wise. I'm sure there'll be cheaper components in there, but I'm not going to worry about changing those out. Like I said, the pickups are fine. I'll definitely end up replacing the strings. The nut I'm going to replace for sure. Plastic nuts always are just subpar. I have a brass nut sitting around that I'll actually put on this. Tuners are actually okay. They tuned up pretty well, and for all intents and purposes, they held tune fine. It did have some tuning issues there that you probably heard, but that's probably more that the strings are really cheap on this. Yeah, it'll need a couple things. Fretboard needs to be oiled. But yeah, there's nothing too glaring. There's actually a sharp fret in there, which is surprising because of the rolled end. We'll be able to address that too. So yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about this. It's been sitting in the box there, and I've kind of been putting off unboxing it because, it's just a cheaper guitar. But I think this will be cool to have around. I of course have nicer guitars, but one thing that's cool about these cheaper guitars is they're just super easy to pick up and play. I don't know, there's something about them, especially when you do a little bit of work and kind of get them dialed in. You're just not afraid of them. you can pick them up, you can strum them acoustically, you can play them, especially, I have kids around, like a toddler, specifically a 2-year-old, so I don't mind playing this and he comes over and hits it with a toy or something. It doesn't matter. So yeah, these are pretty cool. And then, when you have guitars like this around, especially with toddlers or kids, he's going to grow up someday. Maybe I'll be able to give this to him as his first guitar or something. Or yeah, cool. Well, I'll probably cut off the live stream there. Thanks for staying tuned. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, my name is, well, before I stop there, one thing I want to mention that I noticed, headstock tilt back. This does have a tilt back on the headstock. It doesn't look like it's quite as extreme as, a traditional Gibson tilt, but this does not have a volute. So this guitar probably would be prone to headstock breakage if you, dropped it. One thing this guitar has going for it is it's got a maple neck. Maple is definitely a lot stronger than the mahogany they use. But just a note, they probably could have put a volute on this, but big deal. Yeah, so I'll probably cut the live stream off there. My name's Philip. This is a channel called Turtle Studios. I do guitar content, cheaper gear reviews, all sorts of things. So yeah, if you are interested in that sort of stuff, interested in cheaper gear, interested in a amateur musician kind of figuring this stuff out, stay tuned.